Dzogchen has been hidden for a while. It's been under pretty systematic persecution, actually, to the point where these teachings themselves were written in goat milk as a kind of invisible ink. Translators like Barachana, um, Vimilamitra were in a very dangerous time with the Dzogchen stuff because of, we're talking about from the 6th to the 9th centuries, and there was a lot of persecution coming from many ways, the Muslim invasions being the most popular in northwestern India. And so, and yeah, these texts, the Dharma itself was almost completely erased. And that's historically a given as well as traditional accounts, because, like Nalanda, for example, the University of Nalanda in northwestern India was burnt down, and many libraries were burnt down, and they wanted to hide this Ati Yoga. They wanted to destroy this Ati Yoga because when the people have Ati Yoga, liberation of the mind, they're very hard to control. They're very hard to manipulate. Even if you don't have food, you cannot make me hurt my neighbor. That's a mind power. Even if my life is oppressive, I'm not going to hurt the animals. This is a very powerful and natural part of our mind that's been preserved somehow. Donghung cave manuscript, many other physically hidden treasures, what they call termas. And yes, well, Sterling said they did the same thing to early Christians. I would say they completely erased what early Christianity was about. And then by the year 400, when they had the councils and they agreed on 27 texts of the New Testament, they completely erased Ati Yoga. They made sure they erased it before they published the New Testament, in my opinion, anyway. And so this is quite systematic. Even the Viharas of Sri Lanka were persecuted, and the Tantrikas and many others were stripped of their practices. Okay, so that's why it's very honorable to pursue this particular approach. It's the fact that we're already in heaven, we're already enlightened right now, but we're essentially programmed, and we've programmed ourselves too. We've programmed ourselves out of that. We've distorted our way out of it. And it's here right now, but it's almost like there's a mirror that's showing all perfect reflections, and you're spraying something on it, and you cannot see the perfect pure land, as they would call it in the Buddha Dharma. Okay? So these do come here today. We have Londo Dreamer. I was just about to mention you as you typed. We have a picture of Guru Padma Sambhava, who worked with Verachana to translate the Ati Yoga teachings. Londrup saying they were banned from being taught around the time of Vimilamitra. Yeah, exactly. And that's why you ended up with physical termas and mind termas too. And so, yeah, Will want to jump in there? Or maybe wrong button. Okay, yeah, so these are attributed as far back as we can to,
Sorry, I just I wanted to sort of highlight the fact. I feel like anytime a teaching says you can be free, for free, that's when they persecute it.
That's right.
Freedom is free. It's right now, whenever you want. And then they go, well, wait a second. We own the message, so
Yeah.
no, you're not free unless we say so. And that's where
Exactly.
the authentic I would say source of many mystical source of many religions gets us co-opted and
Yeah.
taken over.
Yep. Yeah. Or they become the bearers of the truth. Like only we know, only we have the telephone number of God, right? Only we can talk to God and tell you if you're righteous or not. This becomes a huge issue as well. And so what Dzogchen does, it gives you the power back. As far as, many religions these days, they give too much credit to some creating force. God would not create this mess that we're in right now. If anything, God or some divinity is just staying there while we do stuff. God is just holding it all. But God is not the one creating the messy stuff, in my opinion, or any divinity, Dharmakaya. Uh, the infinite just rests there, and we end up growing up like flowers in the garden of the infinite. Phew. Didn't know if it was going to come out or not. All right. So let's read some Longchen. The way of abiding. So this is a text from the 1300s it's compiled of many tantras that were actually rescue operations, some of them written in invisible ink, I think it was goat milk that they used to make it invisible. That's the rumor anyway. And many of these texts were hidden in various ways and revealed later on. And in my opinion, Longchenpa is doing that with this presentation. He's presenting something that was persecuted and hidden and saying we need to continue to revive this stuff. So, in that tradition, let's keep it going, right? All of you are keeping it going. Whoever's genuinely interested in this Dzogchen stuff. And then now we can publish it on YouTube, and the only persecution we have is the algorithm. All right, so this is the larger scope of openness itself. For those of you who don't have context, there are four great aspects of your mind according to Dzogchen, and this text is about those four. They're called the four great Dzogchen Samayas, and that's ineffability, and now we're on the second one of openness, and then the third one is pure presence, and then the last one is oneness. Okay, so the larger scope of openness itself. Just as the entire vast universe has no limit or center in the expanse of space, but is uninterrupted openness, so within the expanse of awareness, all that manifests outwardly or inwardly, objects or mind, is subsumed within openness and is naturally manifest as empty. So you're gonna have to excuse me. I really don't like to read with a cat hair up my nose. I'm all about expelling the stuff. I don't like sniffing it in. I feel like the more you blow your nose, the better. uh, in regards to not sniffing it in your lungs and stuff. And it's a great part of pranayama. All right, very good. I'm back. All right. So, this is the larger scope of awakened mind that embraces all phenomenon. Openness is revealed to be unbiased, free of dualistic perception. Okay, anybody want to summarize in a short sentence what the root verse is saying there? You can go back up, Yeshi, and give everybody a hint. It says there, just like the universe is all contained within space. So, what are the implications there? Anybody want to take a guess? Yes, but there's a point there. Space holds everything. It holds all the planets. It holds all the suns, the stars. It holds the various shooting stars. And so, yeah, space-like awareness. And what is the implication of that? Well, awareness holds everything. Whether you're in a good mood, a bad mood, whether your body is sick or healthy, whether you're running or walking, whether it's cold weather or warm weather, whether it's light or dark, awareness is always there, just holding. Is that making sense? Anybody want to challenge that?
Just a question. What about cessation? When you have
Yeah.
no perception, is the awareness there?
Yeah. So just like space, if there was a comet to go through space, that would be cessation, right? Cessation is happening within awareness. Yeah. And we call it awareness, but it's a cognizance. It's a mind. Even a divinity, an ineffability that holds everything all the time without changing. We could be in the deepest state of meditation, or we could just be jumping around with elation. Same thing. Both sensation and elation and cessation. All the nations. Yeah. That's why it can free us. That's why it's the key to liberation. There we have another nation. But this is because it's unchanging. And that's something that we have to observe for ourselves. It's not something we believe in. But the nature of your mind is unchanging, and it's much more than just awareness. And it's just like space. If I move my hand right now like this, I'm moving my hand through space, but I'm also moving it through my mind. My mind knows I'm moving my hand right now, and my mind isn't changing its knowingness. Now we got it, right? And that's why it's our safety. That's why it's our refuge. That's why it's our our language with divinity. No matter which dimension, any sentient being, whether they're angels or devils, they all have to be within awareness. And so if you have even the darkest demons, they have two choices with awareness. They can be your friend and they can become angels, or they can run. But awareness is that strong. It converts other dimensions. It liberates other dimensions that you cannot even see. Very powerful, very beneficial, all these beautiful things. But mostly, our little entrapment, our ensnaring into conditioned reality is being freed and released into open cognizance, consciousness, pure consciousness, higher self, whatever you want to call it. And by the way, they have this in the Theravada tradition too. That's the Dhamma eye. It's really when you're coming into the stream entry, in my opinion. I don't want to speak too much out of the Theravada tradition. It's not my expertise, but I'm pretty sure they're talking about the same thing when they talk about Dhamma eye. It's awareness. Okay. Very good. So those were the root verses. I just wanted to check in with you all, make sure that the root verses are making sense. And here's Longchenpa's commentary. The inanimate universe, as enormous as it is, and the six kinds of beings, as countless and endless as they are embraced within a single expanse of supreme basic space. So too, as inconceivable as they are, the phenomenon of the world of appearances and possibilities, whether of samsara or nirvana, are timeless and Isn't that what we all just discovered? We all just discussed that, right? So very good. And by the way, for those of you, I know there are those who have big hearts out there, and you really care what's happening out there in the world, like on the continents of Africa and the Middle East, and the genocide that's happening along Palestine, and to the Arab people in general, and the systematic genocides that are waged on people of color. Um, we're talking about Asia too, right? We're talking about South America. Wow, the amount of systematic oppression that's being done by man is outrageous. And most of the people of this world don't want that. They don't. They're just, many people are in fear, and so they become angry and things like that. But most people, they don't want these wars and all this complete, it's complete darkness being shed on the innocent. All right. My neighbors, the Pueblo natives here, and my neighbors to the west, the Navajo, have been part of that for way too long. And this is why we have to do our duty and wake up. This is absolutely essential if you're an activist of any kind, in my opinion. I know they told you to be angry, but that anger is not going to get you anywhere. And if you're angry, it's okay to be angry, but we need to heal our minds. Okay, everybody, this is really the main point. So this original pure awareness is what we familiarize with. If you're not doing it through me and this group or people in this group and through Dzogchen, do it somehow. Start to see your own mind. Yeah, start to break free of the conditioning and programming. So it says here, one should realize that they are none other than the manifestation in light of awareness of empty appearances that are ineffable. Talking about all phenomena, and that's very high level. And by the way, we have the all-creating monarch being cited here. That's from like the 7th century, attributed to Vairocana, who was translating Sri Singha's work, who got it from Manjushri Mitra, who got it from Garb Dorje. So there's a lineage here, okay? Those who speculate that Dzogchen is Tibetan or somehow a new invention, that is ridiculous, in my humble opinion, okay? All right, so the all-creating monarch says, all phenomena, regardless of how they manifest, and natural mind are timelessly of the same nature. So do not think of this in terms of traditions based on either causes or results. When one examines the suchness of natural mind, what manifests is essence, one's own enlightenment. That's a translation issue. Obviously, enlightenment does not manifest, and emptiness could never manifest. So there's a unmanifestation that happens, all right? Our programming, our conditioning unmanifests, leaving over one's enlightenment. And see how it doesn't say everybody's enlightenment. You still have your own mind. I have my own mind. They've always been pure from the very start, but we have all these weird dreams. So it seems like we're not in pure cognizance. Just like when we're in a dream, oh my God, I'm dreaming of being chased by killer broccoli and carrots. I don't know. Seems very scary. It was all pure cognizance the whole time. Don't worry. All right. Just like that, right now, that's what they are telling you. But it's much harder to see that in the waking state than in the dream state. We can say, yes, okay, my mind made a murderous broccoli and carrots that were after me. That was insane. But in the waking world, when you say, I don't know, I could make up so many things that are insane in this world that happen, and we don't just say, oh, it's a dream, that's why it's so crazy. We get all existential and say, why? So anyway, your own mind is enlightened, okay? And then when the distortions start to ease up, that's what's left over is your natural state, your enlightenment. So the same source continues, since the domain of mind, the vast expanse, is enormous There's not a single thing that does not abide therein. The empty essence of naturally manifest phenomenon and the empty nature of mind are identical in their emptiness, so they are said to be embraced by a supreme emptiness within a single basic space. Awareness is the larger scope that cannot be imagined or expressed. The root verses say, this awakened mind that embraces all phenomena, moreover, is without extreme or bias, and is subsumed within supreme openness. It is like infinite space that embraces the universe, without limit or center, beyond all imagination or description. And the auto commentary goes on to say, given that all phenomena are embraced within awareness, that awareness is embraced within uninterrupted openness, beyond imagination or description, undefined by restrictions or extremes. I just want to say, what are the implications of openness? Well, that's when your psychic walls come down. And wow, does this world love to endorse and build walls, psychic walls, whether it's because you like another sports team, because your skin is a different shade of color, your eye color is different, your hair color is different, you have fewer cars, you have a smaller house. There's so many reasons they hate each other. They're really infinite. And so these are called psychic boundary constraints, what I've been terming them anyway. And those, even subtle ones, okay? Like, for example, if we're sitting in a room right now, you may have a psychic feeling that there are walls. And just that little feeling of walls holding you in right now, a room, that right there could prevent your openness. Now, if you're an awareness practitioner, even those psychic boundaries will start to soften. So you can be sitting in a room, they could have concrete walls 10 feet thick, and you'll still feel openness because your mind isn't isolating yourself to phenomenon. You're not subscribing to the idea of a 10-foot wall holding my mind. All right? So openness has the implication, it's not explicitly mentioned here, but all your conditioning, all the various walls that we build, even disliking your parents can be a wall that stops you from true non-duality because you not liking your parents. So you just start to embrace all that stuff within the larger scope of awareness. Making sense, yeah? That's really the true implication of openness. Everybody can say, oh yeah, mind is open, wide open. Yep, just like space. But what does that really mean? How do you really come into that openness? You gotta let your boundary constraints soften, yeah? The psychic walls and emotional walls, which are psychic, those have to soften. Making sense, yeah? Any comments? Okay. Explanation was perfect. So, openness is shown to be the nature of totally pure space. As the all-creating monarch states, all phenomena have the characteristic of space. The characteristic of space is suchness itself. The characteristics of the three kayas abide thus. Everything abides in suchness itself. However they manifest, all phenomena, being just as they are, cannot be improved upon. All right, I think we can pause it there. This point is being repeated, so I think you're all getting it, right? I think it's good that they're repeating it sometimes because we tend to intellectually agree with stuff, and then when we check in with our mind, well, am I really embracing openness in my own mind? It can be a different story, right? So that's why they repeat it a little bit to let you know that really the Dzogchen view is about this openness. And you need the first samaya to have openness. If you don't embrace the I don't know mind, if you're trying to think about, oh, yes, life is like this and life is like that, then you're closing and you're not allowing that full openness. So the antithesis of ineffability is constriction, which is the antithesis of openness. If you don't know what I said right there, just watch the YouTube video. Making sense though. I think everybody got it. It's pretty easy. So, any final thoughts, comments, questions before we close out today? Okay. Well, I hope it's good enough for everybody. I'm just presenting this stuff. I'm kind of on a train here uh, that I just keep on going. And people who want to wake up, that's what I'm here for. That's all I'm doing this for, why I'm on this train. And so I have no idea how it's going anymore. I've lost sight of that, how it's going, how people feel. I get a lot of positive feedback. It's maybe I could use some more negative feedback actually. But yeah, there you go. LSD free. Well, man, I think it's like something like way bigger than me right at this point. Because I had no drugs at all, no nothing. I barely even had any food the past couple of days, which could have been why. But anyway, yeah, kind of weird, but kind of cool too. I feel like I'm really starting to be held. It was scary. I actually thought like I might die today, because of all the things I was seeing, or that somebody might die today. And I haven't heard any news. I was actually waiting to hear, like on my phone, like that's how convinced I was, um, or waiting for something to happen to me. When I went to the store today, I was like, this could be it. It's a really weird kind of day. Um, but we all just like that's why we live every day, right? We never know when death is coming. We don't know. We stick together. We love each other. We be friends. Be kind best we can. I don't know. I don't even know if it's that. Maybe not. Be angry. I don't know. Right? But the point is that as long as this body is here, I'm gonna keep on with the Dzogchen, and I have lost track of completely any idea of how it's going or any evaluation. Uh, I actually close out these sessions. I'm like, what the fuck just happened? A lot of the times. So, but then there's like these pointing out instructions, and so wonderful and beautiful. People like waking up, and so I don't know who's guiding this whole thing anymore. I'm just letting you know, okay? There's no pilot on this airplane. And thankfully, you could just check out whenever you want, but you can never leave. Right? You can't leave awareness practice. It just abducts you. I tried myself. Okay. Yeah, this is a lot of smiles. I have not been smiling all day today. I got to tell you, it was a really, really tough kind of day in a lot of ways. And I think you guys really brought me a lot of smiles today. So thank you. And since I'm the only one talking, I'll just say that. Uh, I do really appreciate all your faces, and it brought me a lot of joy today to hang out with you. Yeah, big love for that. And my dogs appreciate it. They hate when I'm not in a happy mood. You could tell they're following me around like, what's wrong? What's wrong? Little Bear just doesn't leave me alone. If I'm not happy, he doesn't leave me alone. All right. Well, thank you so much, everybody. A lot of times you do just as much for me as I'm allegedly doing for you. And so we'll end here then with a moment of silence. We mentioned a lot of those beings that are suffering right now. And if there was any good through this session, we dedicate it all to them, okay? Deep bow to you, everybody. Have a great day, okay? Take care out there.